What's up, internet? Amanda here, and you're watching AMG Productions. Now I'm starting to realize that I don't think any of you really care. There's only like 8 of you that watch this. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I'm just gonna get right to it. This video is going to be my very first installment of Netflix horror reviews. I'm going to be watching every single horror movie on Netflix. Yes, even the crappy ones. These videos are basically going to be me reviewing every horror movie on Netflix. Each week, hopefully I will be doing at least 1 video a week, hopefully up to 3, 4, 5 if I have the time. Hopefully I hope to eventually get a actual system going, but until then, you guys get sporadic videos. These video reviews will entail things like jump scare count, body count, the amount of boobs you see, because let's face it, there's a lot of random boobs in horror movies. For my very first week of YouTube reviews, we're going to be doing Amber Heard week. Why? Because Amber Heard's freaking awesome, a babe, and she's one of my favorite scream queens. My first video will be The Ward. Later this week, I will be doing All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. Without further ado, let's get started. The Ward. The Ward, starring Amber Heard, directed by John Carpenter, came out in 2011 on Netflix. It is rated R, and its runtime is 88 minutes. The Netflix description of The Ward is: in this chilling thriller from director John Carpenter, a young woman is sent to a mental institution with a past as dark and haunted as her own. It doesn't really give you a lot of info. Now, keep in mind that some of these reviews may have a few spoilers. I have no intention of telling you guys the endings, how the story, or the big plot twist or anything like that, but warning, there may be a few things that you might not want to hear. So I'm going to say it now so I never have to say it again. Spoiler alerts. The movie starts out with you seeing a girl in a mental asylum in a room. On the board outside of the room, it says her name is Tammy. Well, she's basically sitting on her bed and shaking. Long story short, she gets killed. Every horror movie has that one scene at the beginning that usually ends up with at least one person dying. In this case, sorry Tammy, you were the first to go. Suddenly we jump to Kristen, played by Amber Heard, forest while cops are looking for her. Then she goes to a random farmhouse and sets some curtains on fire and burns the place to the ground. The cops come and pick her up, she fights. Very clear off the bat, they're making it seem like she's at least a little bit crazy. She goes to the hospital, there she basically is telling people that she's fine, nothing's wrong, she's very clear. It's very clear that Kristen is a fighter. She seems intelligent, and it's basically the set of the entire movie. At her first official day on the ward, Kristen meets the other patients: Iris, Emily, Zoe, and Sarah. As the movie progresses, you begin to understand that the girls are each here for individual reasons and that they're not all being treated for the same thing. Throughout the course of the movie, it becomes very apparent there is a ghost in the ward, and that not only is Kristen seeing her, but the other girls are seeing her too. The ghost attacks Kristen. It appears that she attacks some of the other girls as well. As you're watching this movie, you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I understand what's going on. And then once you get to that point, everything goes out the freaking window and you become confused as hell. Michael and Sean Rasmussen are the writers. I apologize if I pronounced the last names wrong. I'm really bad with last names. Some of my favorite scenes of this movie, honestly, the shower scene with all the girls and the morgue scene with Emily and Kristen. Did you hear that? That's the sound of a bunch of teenage boys going, "What?" the moment they heard me say shower scene. The reason I love those scenes is because they both have a very Hitchcock feel to them. When you're watching these scenes, it doesn't feel like you're watching a movie made in 2010. I feel at times that that's very hard to achieve, and that's one of the reasons I love The Ward so much. Now, body count includes opening credits, end credits, all that. Bodies include anyone that was physically killed on screen. They can't be mentioned, it has to actually happen. It doesn't matter if it's happening in someone's dream sequence or if it's happening in someone's mind. If the film in any way, shape, or form shows someone dying, committing suicide, or being murdered, it's going to be involved in the body counts. That being said, The Ward had a total body count of 6. Now, I personally am doing jump scares because honestly, sometimes I do in fact rate movies on how many jump scares they have. Jump scares are relied really heavily on these days, and so real scary horror does not rely on a lot of jump scares. You may have to add one or take away one because what I consider a jump scare, you might not consider it a jump scare. So be warned. The total number of jump scares, give or take 1 or 2, was 13. The amount of nudity you see in this movie. Now, whether you think this is a good or bad thing, you do not see any boobs in The Ward. However, there is a naked shower scene where you see their backs while they're showering. That's basically the extent. That's your thing, then The Ward is for you. The overall scary rating of this movie, honestly, I would give about a 7 because the concept itself is actually pretty terrifying. I can't explain it to you, but basically all I can say is that what you think is going on is not actually what's happening, and you're basically just kind of thrown for a loop towards the end. As far as gore goes with this movie, as long as you have no problem seeing someone having a lethal lobotomy and being electroshock therapied to death and having their throat cut, you should be fine. You should be fine. Okay, that's pretty much it for this review, and oh wait, quote of the movie. This quote is said by Zoe about 20 to 30 minutes into the movie when the girls are all dancing around. They're portraying lunatics in a mental hospital. Is spoken by Zoe when the lights go out and she runs over to Kristen. And Kristen's trying to calm her down and she says, "Bad things happen in the dark." This quote was chosen for quote of the movie because it not only sums up the war, but it also sums up the vast majority of horror movies out there. That being said, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff for more horror reviews. Hopefully All the Boys Love Mandy Lane review will be up before Friday, and that's basically it. Oh, and sleep tight.